The following program is paid for by DeFalco Advertising and does not represent views and opinions of WCGV.
The following may contain harsh language, poorly communicated ideas, and does not reflect the opinions of iHeartRadio.
Well, I guess it's true what they say, an eye for an eye and the world goes blind.
What happened to your face, Chris?
I met X. Was not who he appeared to be. So we have a lot of things to talk about here on the week 28 of...
What does that have to do with what's going on with your eye?
Yeah.
Okay, I will reveal the removal of my bandage and put this bad boy back in here. So we are...
Your eye...
What are we talking about for Face Off this week, Chris?
This week we are looking at the cinematography. You see, Oliver Wood, the one and only, born the 2nd of April 1950 in London and died 1972, died in space.
He has not died in space.
He was with Jeff Bezos and he died in space.
It's an interesting career. It's basically like real goofy comedies or action movies.
Yeah, it is a strange dichotomy there, right? Because it is like Face Off or the Bourne Identity, Bourne Supremacy, Bourne Ultimatum, and then Anchorman or Talladega Nights and movies like that.
Does Will Ferrell or who Adam McKay, I guess that is McKay, just like love this dude?
Adam McKay must know his cinematographers because in order to shoot an action film, you need to be pretty good at cinematography. Like it involves a lot of like when you're involving like lights and action in the frame at once, like you need to know your shit in order to pull that off properly. The other thing is that like he got his start in a kind of interesting way with like a project with Martin Scorsese. He started on a film called The Honeymoon Killers in 1969, which apparently, like, I know I haven't seen the film personally. Have you guys seen The Honeymoon Killers?
I have seen The Honeymoon Killers, yes.
/ The Lonely Hearts Killers.
Yes.
And did you know at the time that it had originally started off as a Scorsese film?
I had read that. You could see kind of how Scorsese would be interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see like the subject matter. I just had no idea that he was actually attached to it and directed it. And like, I guess because that's where Oliver Wood comes in. He was the cinematographer on the film, and he worked with Scorsese for a few weeks before Scorsese was replaced by the screenwriter of the film, Leonard Castle.
He must have really made an impression considering all the times Scorsese's used him since.
I was going to say, not so much.
His big break was cinematographer on like over 50 episodes of Miami Vice. And because that show is such like a groundbreaking visual like show, like everyone loved the style of it. Like a lot of people went on and had careers off of that show, and he was one of the guys. And that's how he ended up on like Die Hard 2, which I think was his first action film that he shot. So he ended up shooting a film called Cutthroat Island in like the early 90s. And when he was shooting that film, he ended up getting hurt and he broke his leg or something like that. And he ended up getting replaced on that film. But he had already lined up Broken Arrow at that point, which is what he was going to go and do after Cutthroat Island. But unfortunately, because of the injury of what happened to him, John Woo basically let him go on Broken Arrow. Like he said he couldn't work with him because of the injury. But then he promised that he would like rehire him. This is his quote from when he got fired. He says, "On crutches, I hobbled into a pre-production meeting for Broken Arrow, and John just smiled and said, maybe next time." I have a quote where he talks about that scene with the kid getting shot at. Do you want to hear that?
I think if it's cool.
Somewhere Over the Rainbow scene?
Yeah. So
tell me more.
Oliver Wood said about that sequence, "It's a very beautiful sequence, and one of the few where the lighting is stylized. The premise of the film is rather offbeat, so we decided early on to keep the lighting as traditional as possible, so that the story would seem more down-to-earth and credible. In this one instance, though, we stood the boy on this large square glass table and underlit him with a strong, bright look, so he looks like an angel, watching in wonder as these people explode all around him." Something's going on with your face? Okay.
Damn it. It's literally falling apart.
Oh, always. All right. So personally, like the shot that I really like. Personally, when I think of Face Off, like the first image that comes to mind usually is that like back to back against the mirror image with their guns up and they're like, you know, like that profile shot of them. I love that shot. It's an awesome shot.
What about you, Tyler? What's your favorite shot in Take Off Face?
Even though it's an obvious stunt double, I love the shot of the jump off the prison ceiling.
Yeah, that's my favorite too.
It's a really fun shot.
I think another
there must be at least 15 shots or 15 different angles.
There's 5 cameras going on that.
None of them on his face. It's great.
Another shot I really like in the film is that really quick shot of like Nick Cage's face being reflected in the glasses and the doctor when he's got like no face on him and he's just like trying to intimidate him to try and get him his face. Like that's probably like
that. Well, I feel like that was from Les Yeux Sans Visage, the Eyes Without a Face. There's a surgery scene, and it's just a reflection of that.
Everything when Cage like wakes up post surgery before he gets a new face is really
so funny.
Dark, like Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff style.
That might be like my most fun, like my favorite like shot sequence in the film in terms of like the filmmaking techniques and the editing and stuff. It's just like, I mean, John Woo's a very like bread and butter filmmaker. Like, I mean, he's very basic usually, right? Like he's not like, other than like his slow motion like action, which is incredible. Like but like in terms of like his general like run of the mill like scene, like it's very stuff. It's very basic. But in that scene, he had a little bit of fun, which is always nice. Another scene I like is it's just like the classic scene of like Cage jumping out of the plane with like shooting his guns and like the sparks are going off in the background, like a million different shots, like fireworks. Like that's great. And then the last, or like the shot when they're in like the when he's in the underground layer where that penthouse suite is just like face off, and it's that overhead shot of like him like looking up in the sky, he's just like throwing his head up. Like, oh, that's cool.
All right.
Chris, you got any favorites you want to throw out?
Who cares?
Do you want to just put your eye back
honestly, who just cares? You know what? I'll tell you. This eye, it's so irritating that you have to...
Hang on.
What?
Wait, Chris, slow down for a sec. You have an eye in there.
Yes.
You have 2 eyes.
Yes.
So whose eye are you holding in your hand?
This one? Are you looking at this eye? This eye of my enemy? X?
How many times do I gotta say I'm done with this fucking podcast?